All right, so let's continue with this problem we had earlier on the first video. uh, let's see if the velocities of these two uh, pendulum bobs are the same, or if they're close to one another, or if one's greater than the other. Using your intuition, I would say that probably that this velocity is less than this velocity. In other words, this velocity is going to be greater than this velocity, most likely, because it's probably a greater acceleration. So anyway, we found out earlier that our velocity is going to actually, velocity 1 is going to actually be equal to our L1 times the pull of gravity times the sine theta 1 times the tangent of theta 1. And then we take the square root of that thing. And then V2 is very much similar. It's going to be L2 times G times sine theta 2 times the tangent of theta 2. And then, of course, we take the square root of that. So there's our two velocities. So you're going to have a velocity down here, velocity 1. You're going to have a velocity up here, velocity 2. So we can plug in our L's, we can plug in our thetas, and we can go from there. So velocity 1, we're going to say that's going to be equal to L1, which is 0.8 times the pull of gravity, in this case is 9.8 meters per second squared, times the sine of what, 35 degrees? So the sine of 35 degrees times the tangent of 35 degrees, and this, we're going to take the square root of this thing. That's not at 350, that's at 35 degrees. And after the crunching of the calculators, I came up with 1.77 meters per second. This is going to be meters up here, so your meters and seconds will cancel in that case, down to meters per second. And velocity 2 basically is the same process. You're just going to put your L2 in here, which is 0.6. You're going to put your theta 2 in here, which is 43.63. And L2 comes out to be 1.965 meters per second. Not a great increase, but there is an increase there. So this velocity is going to be greater than the first velocity. Sometimes in these problems, when you work these problems and you just think about them, sometimes just using your intuition helps you. My intuition or your intuition might say, hey, if this ball is here and then you're going to move it out more than likely it's going to have to rotate faster because it's going to have a greater acceleration. In fact, we did figure out acceleration. We could figure out the acceleration if we wanted to. But just using your intuition alone would say, hey, most likely this velocity up here is going to be greater than that. And if you do the calculations, it actually is. Okay, thank you, and I hope you do subscribe.